Hey, what's going on there, folks? Earthmaster here. Good Saturday evening to most of you guys out there. Good morning, good night, wherever else you are out there in the world. A lot to talk about. More specifically, Yellowstone being quite active today with their earthquake swarm. Quite a cluster of earthquakes going on there in the northwest corner of the park. Yeah, we'll jump right into that and cover the activity that's going on there in the beautiful national park of Yellowstone. Some interesting activity. Whoa, that wasn't too good. Okay, so here's a recent earthquake map here behind this live seismograph. I wanted to show you real quick here, though. See if I can get this thing running. It's been a long day, let me tell you. Down here in Madison 207, BW 2007, that's a pretty close station there to the earthquake swarm, so you're going to see pretty much every small little spike of an earthquake that comes into the Yellowstone National Park area on this station right here, which will be included in the live stream, so look for that station right here, Yellowstone Madison 207. If you're interested in checking out that activity there in the park. And then of course I got some other stations scattered around the world, but main thing right now is the activity in Yellowstone. I want to show you guys here real quick this overlay of the seismograph stations there in Yellowstone National Park. You got the whole caldera outlined here with these seismograph stations, mostly confined over here around Maple Creek YMC station right there. Let's take a look at that real quick, and it is a mess, let me tell you. There is I've been looking at charts for a very long time and these seismograph stations for a very long time. And Yellowstone's been one of my hot topics that I love to cover, and it's a big interest of mine. So when I see something like this, it's kind of scary. It looks wicked. Wicked is the only word I can think of. And believe it or not, folks, what's USGS saying that there's about see how many earthquakes they're stating. This here is 7 days, all magnitudes, Yellowstone National Park within the view here. About 35 earthquakes. Yeah, right. 35 earthquakes that they're only counting. And I'm telling you, folks, within this region, just within this map right here, there's probably at least 200. And I'm being a little bit being modest in that. Roughly about 200 earthquakes. You got to remember, and it may be more, but you got to remember each one of these little spikes here where the finger is on the screen, the hand is an earthquake, and it's small. These are really tiny ones, like micro earthquakes. But when you get into these little bigger spikes, the red ones, and the cluster of ones that you can't even sort out in here, we're looking at probably 200 earthquakes. I am not joking, and that's a lot of earthquakes to have in this short amount of time. That's why I call it a cluster of spiky earthquakes, and the best way I could describe this is kind of like I mentioned last night. It's like walking on ice. You go outside, it's cold, you see ice, but you step on it and it cracks, right? Because there's still a little bit of water underneath it that hasn't frozen yet, and you get that popping and cracking sound. And this is what it reminds me of, just these little pops and cracks in the rock up in Yellowstone National Park. And it's hard to say why it's going to happen. I don't believe it's magma related. It is located on the northwest corner of the caldera itself. I'm going to show you another map right here, and it's also from this same website, which is pretty useful right here. You just go over to this URL up here at the top of the screen and check out these overlays of the seismograph stations. But the one I want to show you is the quake map right here, highlighted in yellow. I do have it pulled up already somewhere right here, and you can set there's a bunch of different stuff you can use for it. You can integrate this, I believe, into Google Earth and some other stuff. But this is just the basic format that I'm using right now. I went back to the 13th to the 17th, which is today, and I left everything else in the default mode, and I clicked this button right here, and it will give you a pretty good graph. They're stating 29 earthquakes. Okay, that's way under, but they're just going off what the USGS provides. But there's way more than that, trust me. These little X's up here, right? You see the caldera, which is outlined. Let's see here. Okay, this whole section up here is Yellowstone National Park. These X's, and there's some lighter colors indicating the earthquakes. Over here to the left is the caldera position, right? They have it marked up here. And this taking place just right on the edge of it. Just right on the edge of the caldera. This is north to south up here, and then west to east down here on the bottom. You get what I'm saying? But it's right at the northwest edge of the caldera. And the further these are down on the graph is the depth in miles from the surface. Surface being this top line right here. And these earthquakes are mostly confined to about, well, in between about 5 to 10 miles below the surface there. A couple of them closer up. But they are, I mean, it looks as though it may be migrating a tad bit there. You know, you can see it stretching up to about the 5-mile mark and maybe one kind of deep. But I don't believe this is magma related. And the reason being is just taking a look at some other photos here. Let me show you real quick, see if you guys can see this photo that I have pulled up here. Kind of like a cut in half version of the Yellowstone ground that's up there, the earth itself. You got the Yellowstone caldera up here outlined, Mallard Lake Dome, and also Sour Creek Dome. I'll show you where those are at in a minute. But you got the Yellowstone hotspot plume way down here, roughly about 50 miles or so. Uppermost mantle above that, and then you got the magma reservoir, and then the magma chamber above that. And that's when you want to start getting worried, when the magma chamber starts to fill up and the ground swells, and then you get earthquakes like that. But you see this little fault system right here, right? You see this little this way and that way. That's basically a fault system right there, and it's really close to where we're seeing all that activity at. So I believe what we're seeing is just you know, tectonic type movement. You know, I don't believe we're seeing any kind of magma injection or anything like that, any kind of major swelling. I believe it's all just tectonic plate movements, and that's definitely a good thing. I did pull up the domes that were mentioned, the Mallard Lake Dome and the Sour Creek Dome. These are the locations of that, and the earthquake swarm and that little fault system that I showed you is just right off here to the northwest of those two domes. So, you know, like I say, I believe we're just seeing some type of tectonic plate earthquake activity, but in a extreme scale. But it's pretty interesting to look at. I did go back last year. We can check that out real quick here. Let's go back to what did I check out? I think July 17, 2000. Let's go back to 2017 and generate the report from that earthquake swarm there. Now, there were some larger earthquakes there. Those are probably 3s or so, maybe a little bit bigger. We're not running into those type of magnitudes yet with this earthquake swarm, but it's something to keep an eye on. Let's go over here to the 14th. I wanted to show you guys a similar, let's see where it was at. Maybe I'm going too far back. I think I am. No, I don't think it was in August, but I wanted to show you guys a similar type. There we go. similar type scenario and signatures, like all these little spikes that we're seeing there in last year's earthquake swarm. Very similar to what we're seeing today, but not on a super large cluster scale like like we've seen today there, like this one. This is a current map or seismograph station of today's earthquake swarm in Yellowstone National Park. So not as intense, but like I say, that swarm last year, wow, it lasted for months, and I can't remember how many thousands of earthquakes there were, but there was definitely a lot. But like I say, I still haven't seen any cluster like I'm seeing today. So we'll see where it goes. We'll see if these magnitudes get any larger. But like I say, there's no need to spread fear or panic. If anything, it could start popping off some 3s, maybe a couple 4s, but I don't think we're looking at anything catastrophic. So I'm really surprised YouTube hasn't started overloading with all the major fear mongering that takes place up there. We're in YouTube, that is, but that's all right. Just gotta stick to the facts and just be aware of what's going on. There was a pretty good sized earthquake over in the UK. That's Yellowstone once again. Over in the UK early this morning there. UK storm chaser, I guess was on chat when that happened. I'm not for sure exactly if they had felt it or not, but go over there and check that out real quick. 4.2. It's a sizable one, and they don't get too many earthquakes in that region, so a lot of people felt it. 4.2 magnitude. Looks like some light to moderate shaking. Maybe one person or two people felt it strongly, but mostly light to moderate there. Interesting activity. I did see that come across the live stream there, but unfortunately I couldn't jump on. Here's all the reports that people felt it at. I'm not going to pronounce that name because I would definitely mess it up big time. I do know the Wales, okay? The rest of these names like this, I don't even know how to pronounce that. That's interesting. If anybody knows how to pronounce that, maybe they can help me learn that word. That's pretty crazy. But anyway, so yeah, that's interesting activity. I don't believe there's been any more activity in that region. Let me see here real quick. What do we got? Yeah, I just see that 4.2, but a lot of 2s and whatnot around the Mediterranean. This is also the EMSC earthquake data center right there, but I only see that 4.2 up there around the UK region. But definitely active out here in the world, guys. A lot of earthquakes taking place. Alaska looks like it's popping off again. Quite a bit of activity. There's that large 7.2 still showing up. It should disappear here later tonight, as the 24-hour period should be well past there by now. But main focus, guys, right now, Yellowstone. And I'm going to keep... I'm going to try and pull up the Yellowstone webcam once again and see how that works out. I know I did get it, it did freeze up a little bit later, or earlier today, and not for sure exactly what happened. I don't know if there's a time limit on the amount of time that viewers can view it before the server itself kicks them off. I don't know, but we'll try it again. There was a scene transition where it went back from the earthquake data screen to live view of Old Faithful in Yellowstone National Park, which I thought was pretty cool, and I got a lot of compliments on it. So it's kind of nice to see what's going on up there in the snowy wonderland of Yellowstone National Park. Kind of nice seeing all that snow up there. Looked pretty cold and a little bit windy up there as well. The wind was showing on the seismograph stations here. Let me show you guys real quick. That is from last year. Let's go to right now. You can see the wind being picked up on quite a few stations around the area. This darker color blue showing up, indicating some wind, not magma movement or any kind of tremor, but wind. But yeah, check it out, guys. It's pretty wicked looking. We'll see what it looks like tomorrow. You know, I don't see it dying down anytime soon, but Yellowstone, she's got a mind of her own, and we will just have to accept that. But yeah, look at this cluster of quakes. There's no telling how many exactly are in here. But you know, I'm guessing it's over 200. It's got to be. So anyway, guys, I think I covered everything I wanted to cover. You know, I probably missed a couple things, but we'll get back to it if need be. But for now, we'll go ahead and end this update and see if I can't pull back up Yellowstone. I know it's dark up there, but you can still see somewhat of the terrain that's up there at Old Faithful region. And hopefully everyone has a good night out there. It's Saturday night, so be safe. Or Sunday morning, depending, like I said, where you're at in the world. And that'd be it for now, guys. Stay safe out there.